I just got back from my trip to Japan and all of our flights and hotels were free. Yes, free. We just had to pay a little bit in taxes and fees. Otherwise, our hotels and flights were literally free, and you can do it too. So today I am showing you how to travel Japan for free. And to put this into perspective, I booked all of our flights from the Midwest USA to Tokyo. So we're not even based on the West Coast where you might be able to get cheaper flights to Japan from the US. No, we came all the way from Wisconsin. So all of our flights that I'm talking about today includes those flights from the Midwest, not just from the West Coast. So no matter where you're coming from, it is possible for you to travel to Japan for free too. So let's start with how to get free flights to Japan, because obviously you can't make your dream trip to Japan a reality without flights to get there. And I'm not talking about squished economy flights that are way in the back of the plane by the toilet. No, I'm talking about business class flights potentially. Literally, I booked my business class flight from Seattle to Tokyo on the same trip. So it wasn't including our positioning flights from the Midwest, but from Seattle to Tokyo, my business class flight, which was cash valued over $6,000 when I booked, I got it for free. I just had to pay $33 in taxes and fees. So basically free for this business class flight. So I just wanna throw that out there that we're not talking about like the basic economy, no check bags type of flights. We're talking about potentially business class flights too. The easiest way to book free flights to Japan is by leveraging credit card points and miles. And if you've watched my other points and miles videos, this should come as no surprise to you that I love points and miles for free travel and nearly free travel. And contrary to popular belief, you do not have to spend a ton of money on these credit cards to earn enough points for these free flights. More specifically, you should leverage credit card welcome offers that earn hundreds of thousands of points and miles for spending what you would typically spend on a daily basis on your everyday living expenses anyway. Trust me, you do not have to spend millions of dollars on these credit cards to earn enough points for your free flight to Japan. I have a whole other video about how to earn more points and miles without spending more money. So I will link that in this corner for you to watch next. And I'll also link like all of my points and miles, my beginner points and miles videos in the description too. But basically we can leverage these credit card welcome offers to earn a huge sum of points without spending a huge sum of money. And that's how I got free business class flight to Japan. For this trip in particular, for all of our flights, and that includes our flights all the way from our small airport in Wisconsin, I leveraged points and miles from a few different credit cards. My Capital One Venture card, my husband's Capital One Venture X card, my United Mileage Plus business card, and my husband's Amex Business Platinum card. So I leveraged a few different cards, which is what most points and miles travelers do. And of course, with these specific cards, I did have to pay a few annual fees to open those cards and get those welcome offers. But there are cards that have lower or no annual fees that you can do this with as well. I just want to give you the very specific cards that I used for this trip. All of these cards minus the United card earn flexible points and miles, meaning I can transfer those points to different airlines, different hotels. I'm not limited to one specific hotel or one specific airline. Whereas that United business card, I'm limited to only flying United, right? So all of the other cards earn flexible points and miles, which is what you should aim to open and earn as well. That will give you a lot more flexibility in redeeming those free flights. And in addition to taking advantage of those transfer partners, I can also utilize airline alliance partners to save even more points and get even better points redemptions, which is what I did for this trip. You don't always have to do this. I don't always do this. Sometimes you can just transfer out directly to a partner without having to strategize with airline alliances. But for this specific trip, I did. So I'll explain and walk through that process and what it looked like and how you can do it too. So for example, Capital One is transfer partners with Flying Blue, which is Air France and KLM's airline loyalty program. And Air France is alliance partners with Delta Airlines, meaning you can book Delta flights on Air France's website and with those Air France Flying Blue points. So for my one business class flight to Japan, I transferred Capital One miles to Flying Blue and then booked my Delta flight on Air France Flying Blue's website. This Delta One flight from Seattle to Tokyo Haneda Airport only cost me 89,000 Capital One miles, which is a steal. To put that in perspective, 89,000 miles is cash valued at $890. So a business class flight for $890, yeah, can't get better than that, right? But I didn't even pay $890. I paid 89,000 miles plus $33 in taxes and fees. So in total for my business class flight for Japan, the base fare of the flight was free. And then I had to pay $33 in taxes and fees. Insert receipt here so that you can see my exact receipt screenshot. You can see that the base fare was $0 and that I had to pay about $33 in taxes and fees. Deals like this come up every single day, not only to Japan, but also practically anywhere in the world, but these award availability flights do book up fast. So I highly recommend signing up for an award availability alert system like Thrifty Traveler Premium. I do have a $20 off your first year of Thrifty Traveler Premium that I'll link in the description. And pointsyeah.com also has a great free version of business class availability alerts that I also use. I use both of those. Roam is another great option. So I'll link all of those in the description, but those are just a few examples of some really good points and miles award availability alert systems that can alert you when these business class flight deals come up. For this particular business class flight, I did get my alert from Thrifty Traveler Premium. I got a text and an email and then booked it right away. And I also love that Thrifty Traveler, their email alerts also come with step-by-step instructions on how exactly to book it. So like strategizing those alliance partners and transfer partners from whichever credit card points and miles you need to transfer from. It goes through that step by step, so that was super helpful. Now that just accounted for one of our flights. My husband and I both went. So we also had several economy flights that were free to Japan. We just had to pay taxes and fees. And like I said earlier, as fabulous as that business class deal was, that was from Seattle and we're coming from a little airport in the Midwest. So that meant we had to book positioning flights from our small airport all the way to Seattle. And for these, I used 32,800 of my United miles to book those, earned from a welcome offer that I earned earlier in the year, plus $11.20 in taxes and fees. So again, basically free when we're talking about flights. And this covered both my and my husband's positioning flights to Seattle. Then my husband also took one for the team from Seattle to Tokyo and flew economy. God bless his soul. I was very thankful that he took one for the team and that I got to fly business class. And he was on the same flight as me, but this happened because as I was checking out for his business class redemption, the website crashed. Air France's website crashed. And by the time the website was back up and running, his seat was gone and I felt so bad. And of course, I didn't take screenshots of the crashed website. So when I was on customer service phone call with Air France, they were like, we can't help you because you don't have proof that it crashed. And yeah, anyway, learn from my mistake and take screenshots if this happens to you. But anyway, Kenny is taking one for the team and sitting back in the back of the plane while I am in a luxurious business class seat. For his flight, we chose to book straight through the Capital One portal, which I wouldn't normally recommend. However, this guaranteed that he was going to be on the same flight as me, which is what we wanted. That was worth it for us, even though we got less value for our points. But still, his economy class ticket on the same flight from Seattle to Tokyo was only 39,500 Capital One miles, which again is a steal because that is cash valued at about $390, which you cannot get an economy class flight to Tokyo from the West Coast for that cheap anyway. So that was still a good deal, even though we booked through the travel portal. Had we not booked through the travel portal and booked through a transfer partner instead, we might have even gotten a better points redemption for that, meaning lower points, making our overall points count go farther in the long run. But we chose to just book through the portal so that we could know that we could be on the same flight. And then because we booked this one through the Capital One portal, we also could use Capital One miles to cover those taxes and fees. So we had to pay $0 in taxes and fees for his flight from Seattle to Tokyo. So that flight was quite literally free. Then on our way home from Japan, we both flew economy on Delta Airlines. Amex is a direct transfer partner to Delta. So unlike earlier where I had to kind of play the airline alliance strategy game, for these flights back home on Delta Airlines, I could just transfer my husband's Amex membership rewards points directly to Delta Airlines. Amex does charge a transfer partner fee, so we did have to pay a fee to Amex. as well as the taxes and fees for the Delta flights. And those Delta flights were 56,000 points per person, way back to our small airport. So that includes our flights from Tokyo to Minneapolis, and then Minneapolis to our small airport. And the taxes and fees cost $103.16 in total for our flights back home. So in total, all of our flight fares for Japan were free, plus the taxes and fees. For all of our Japan flights, including that business class flight, we spent $147.36 in taxes and fees, plus 273,000 points and miles. So less than $150 for all of our flights to and from Japan, and those were just taxes and fees. The flight fares themselves were free. Before we get into how we got completely free hotels in Japan for our 10-day trip, I want to give a quick shout out to my budget travel ebook, which is my ebook that you can get to learn exactly how I travel more for less, just like this trip. If you are loving what you're hearing so far, you're gonna get even more valuable information in that ebook about how to travel on a budget, how to get budget hotels and flights on a budget without sacrificing those luxurious experiences like that business class flight, or like staying in overwater villas in the Maldives and Bora Bora. All of my beginner-friendly knowledge is in that ebook, so I will link that ebook in the description and you can check that out if you are interested. Now, how to get free hotels in Japan. You can't fully know how to travel Japan for free without hotels, right? Like, you need somewhere to stay while you're there. And why pay for it if you don't have to? I booked all of our hotels in Japan for free, no taxes and fees necessary, so it's literally $0. And that includes 5 nights in Tokyo, 3 nights in Kyoto, and also we're spending 2 nights in Seattle before we leave from Seattle to Japan. So 10 nights total for the entire trip, $0. And all of these hotels are 3+ stars. Most of them are actually 4-star and up hotels. So we're not talking about like backpacking in hostels, right? We're talking about staying nice, convenient hotels for free. Like our flight transfer partners, I also transferred my flexible credit card points and miles out to transfer partners for our hotels. More specifically, I transferred points from Chase, our Chase Ultimate Rewards, out to Hyatt at a 1-to-1 ratio. And points and miles travelers love Hyatt because Hyatt has some of the lowest point redemption offers. And I have a whole video about some of the luxurious hotels and resorts that you can stay out with Hyatt points for not very many points, so I'll link that as well. But yeah, basically points and miles travelers love Hyatt for this exact reason. For Seattle, I redeemed 40,000 Chase Ultimate Rewards points for 2 nights at the Grand Hyatt Seattle. For Tokyo, I redeemed 60,000 points for 5 nights at the Hyatt Regency Tokyo Bay. And for Kyoto, I redeemed 28,500 points for 3 nights at the Hyatt Place Kyoto. In total, we spent 128,500 points and $0 in taxes and fees for our 10-day trip to Seattle in Japan. As usual, all of these Chase Ultimate Rewards points were earned through welcome offers on a variety of Ultimate Rewards earning Chase cards. In particular, my favorite card for beginners, the Chase Sapphire Preferred card, and also the Chase Ink business cards. But there is a very correct and strategic way to earn these Chase Ultimate Rewards points, involving the notorious Chase 524 rule, which I have a blog post explaining in detail, so I'll link that in the description. But it is very easy to do, even if you don't have like a bajillion dollar making business. You probably can open business cards and earn a lot of Chase Ultimate Rewards points to redeem for these free Hyatt hotel stays. And there you have it, folks. This is exactly how to travel to Japan for free. Free hotels and free flights. Of course, you're gonna have to pay for food and souvenirs and whatever else you want to while you're there, but those are always the biggest expenses of every trip. So I am here to tell you that your dream trip to Japan is doable, even if finances are tight. Don't forget to check out my budget travel Bible if you want to learn more about how I travel more for less without sacrificing luxury experiences. And subscribe, because next week I am teaching you step by step how to book business class flights for free, like my business class flight to Japan. So subscribe so that you don't miss that. Other than that, I will see you in next week's video. So for now, ciao.